He lit his beard on fire, blockaded a city, and became the most feared name on the Atlantic. This is the true story of Blackbeard, who he really was, how he rose to power, and how one brutal morning ended his reign. Oh, understand Blackbeard. We need to understand the world he sailed. It's the early 1700s, a period historians call the Golden Age of Piracy, roughly 1650 to 1730. European empires Britain, France, Spain, and the Netherlands are racing to control colonies in the Americas. Ships crisscross the Atlantic carrying sugar, tobacco, enslaved Africans, and manufactured goods. Money flows, but so do opportunities for theft. Sailors face harsh conditions, meager pay, and sudden unemployment when wars end. In this world, piracy is both a crime and, for thousands of desperate men, a tempting job description. There's also a legal cousin to piracy: privateering. A privateer is a private ship authorized by a government with a letter of marque to attack enemy vessels during wartime. They seize prizes, captured ships, and split the profits through official courts. When wars end, those letters vanish, but the skills, the ships, and the appetite for fast money remain. Many privateers turn pirate. Blackbeard enters here. His real name was probably Edward Teach or Thatch. Spelling was loose in the 1700s. He was almost certainly English, possibly from the port city of Bristol, and he likely fought as a privateer in the War of the Spanish Succession, a huge European conflict from 1701 to 1714. When that war ended, thousands of armed sailors were suddenly out of work. He found his way to the Bahamas, specifically Nassau on New Providence Island, by 1716. Nassau had become a pirate republic, a ragged town where captains elected by their crews ruled fleets and spent fortunes. One of those captains was Benjamin Hornigold. Under Hornigold, Teach learned the trade: how to chase, how to intimidate, and crucially, how to avoid fights he didn't need to win. What made Blackbeard different wasn't just violence, it was theater. He grew a thick black beard, braided it with ribbons, and, in battle, tucked slow-burning fuses under his hat. These smoldered like sparks and smoke, turning his face into a living demon. It was psychological warfare. If a crew surrendered at the sight of him, no blood needed to spill. By late 1717, Blackbeard captured a ship that changed everything. La Concorde, a large French slave ship returning from West Africa. It was seized near the Caribbean island of Martinique. Slave ships were big, fast, and built to carry heavy loads, perfect for reworking into a floating fortress. He armed it with as many as 40 guns and renamed it Queen Anne's Revenge, a nod to the recently ended war and, perhaps, to nostalgia for a queen whose rule many pirates believed had favored privateers. With a powerful flagship, Blackbeard rose swiftly. He and his allies, including the gentleman pirate Stede Bonnet, a plantation owner who turned to piracy, operated across the Caribbean and up the North American coast. They targeted not only Spanish ships, but also British and French merchants, seizing rich cargoes with minimal fighting. Hornigold refused to attack British ships, so the partnership split. Hornigold took a royal pardon. Blackbeard doubled down. What did a pirate attack look like? Picture a fast, low ship suddenly hoisting a black flag, a symbol pirates called the Jolly Roger storming alongside a merchantman. Drums beat. Cannons fire grapeshot. Clouds of iron balls designed to shred sails and rigging. Then comes the show. A towering figure with a blazing beard, a belt of pistols across his chest, and a voice promising quarter if you surrender, meaning mercy, and your life versus no quarter if you resist. Rational captains often chose life. Blackbeard's fame grew because he made fear do the heavy lifting. In May 1718, Blackbeard staged his boldest move. He blockaded the port of Charlestown, today's Charleston, South Carolina, one of the busiest British colonies on the continent. For nearly a week, his small fleet stopped every ship entering or leaving, capturing them in plain sight. He took prominent hostages and demanded a ransom not in gold, but in medicine specifically, a chest of what a pirate crew might need: ointments, mercurial compounds, and remedies for infections. The city complied. Blackbeard returned the hostages unharmed and sailed off. No one forgot the humiliation. Soon after, his power reached a turning point. Off the treacherous sandbars near Beaufort Inlet, North Carolina, Queen Anne's Revenge ran aground. Some say it was an accident. Others suspect Blackbeard deliberately grounded his flagship to break up a crew grown too large for rich shares. He cut loose a portion of his men. Some were even marooned on a nearby island, then sailed to Bath, a quiet town in North Carolina's Albemarle region. There, in June 1718, he accepted a royal pardon from the colony's governor, Charles Eden. The king had offered immunity to pirates who surrendered by a deadline, hoping to pacify the seas. On paper, Blackbeard was now a reformed man. In practice, he slowed down, made local connections, and within weeks returned to commerce, a thin veil over continued piracy. He acquired a smaller sloop called Adventure and resumed targeting ships in coastal shallows only locals knew well. He found safe anchorages along the Outer Banks, long, narrow barrier islands off North Carolina, riddled with inlets and sandbars that kept big warships out. Meanwhile, the colonies were losing patience. Merchants wanted safe trade. Politicians wanted order. And a new governor in the Bahamas, Woodes Rogers, had arrived with warships and fresh authority to crush Nassau's pirate republic. The noose was tightening. In Virginia, Governor Alexander Spotswood decided not to wait for North Carolina's cooperation. He sent a naval officer, Lieutenant Robert Maynard, to hunt Blackbeard in November 1718. Maynard commanded two small, fast sloops, Jane and Ranger, light enough to slip through shoals where bigger ships could not. It was a risky, possibly illegal, cross-border strike. But if it worked, it would end the problem with one blow. At dawn on the 22nd of November 1718, Maynard found Blackbeard anchored at Ocracoke Inlet, a narrow passage through the Outer Banks. The water was shallow and full of sandbars, perfect for pirates, perilous for pursuers. Blackbeard had a handful of ships and several dozen men, many hungover after a night of drinking. He tried to flee, then turned to fight. Cannon smoke rolled over the water. Maynard's boats took heavy losses. One sloop was disabled. On the other, Maynard made a gamble. He ordered most of his men to hide below deck, leaving the upper deck apparently wrecked and nearly empty. Blackbeard took the bait. He steered Adventure alongside and boarded with a select group, expecting an easy finishing stroke. Then, as he charged into the smoke, Maynard gave the signal. His hidden sailors burst upward, pistols and cutlasses ready, and the deck exploded into hand-to-hand combat. Witnesses say Blackbeard fought like a whirlwind, pistols firing, sword flashing, beard smoldering. Maynard himself grappled with him. In the chaos, Blackbeard was shot several times and slashed again and again. Contemporary reports claim he took 5 gunshots and more than 20 cuts before he finally, boff. The immediate aftermath was swift and ruthless. Maynard sailed back to Virginia with prisoners in chains. Trials followed. Some of Blackbeard's men were hanged. In neighboring South Carolina, Stede Bonnet, the gentleman pirate who had briefly partnered with Blackbeard and later sought revenge, was captured and executed at Charleston. In the Bahamas, Governor Woodes Rogers hammered the last pirate strongholds into submission. The Atlantic world was changing. More naval patrols, new laws, and coordinated colonial crackdowns made the seas a harder place to be an outlaw. Who was Blackbeard, truly? Stripped of myth, he was a master of intimidation and logistics. He preferred surrender to slaughter because surrender was efficient. His reputation for brutality was a weapon, not a default setting. He did not, as far as evidence suggests, bury treasure. He did understand the value of an image, the smoking beard, the thunder of cannons, the generous offer of quarter, unless you forced his hand. He also operated within a pirate culture that shocked authorities. Pirate crews often elected their captains and could depose them. They used articles shipboard codes that laid out shares of plunder and rules of behavior. Shares were more equal than on naval or merchant vessels. Bonuses went to those who took risks. Crews were multinational and sometimes multiracial, with free black sailors and, at times, formerly enslaved people choosing the pirates' peril over plantation bondage. To many governments, such floating democracies were as threatening as theft itself. Blackbeard's legacy endures not only in legend, but also on the seafloor. In 1996, divers found a wreck near Beaufort Inlet, North Carolina, widely accepted as Queen Anne's revenge. Archaeologists have raised cannons, anchors, medical tools, and coils of slow match, the very kind of fuse he could have used to stoke his fearsome image. Conservators clean iron cannonballs